Welcome into the 24/7 Sports Channel. I'm your host tonight, Adam Finkelstein, and we have yet another big time prospect ready to announce his college commitment live here on the 24/7 Sports Channel. Tonight, the player is the best big men in the national class, a top 25 prospect in the country, one of the very best centers, 6'10", 210 pounds, and a 7'2" wingspan, and he is elite when it comes to protecting the rim. He had offers from over 20 high major schools, but ultimately was able to narrow his list down to just 4 finalists. Take a look at some of those options here. He will be choosing between BYU, Stanford, Michigan, and UNLV, the hometown school. So without further ado, we are going to go out to Las Vegas, where Xavion is there with his family. Xavion, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I'm great, thanks. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm great. We here.
We here is right. All right. So before we get going, introduce me to the people here with you for this special moment.
Okay, so here we got my mom, beautiful mom. Her name's Cody, and then we got my lovely dad. His name's Steven. These are the guys that make the whole process up. And then in front of me, I have a whole crowd of people. I love and cherish. So I appreciate them for coming out first and foremost.
All right, very cool. Live from Sierra Vista High School in Las Vegas. Now, Xavier, I want to talk to you a little bit about your path because, truthfully, I hadn't heard your name when you were an underclassman. It was kind of that USA basketball session when you first exploded onto the map, and that seems like it was almost not that much more than a year or so ago, and things have really taken off for you. What has the last couple of years been like?
Man, it's been, a crazy whirlwind. These past couple of years, I just, have been focusing on, basically developing, getting better. My name goes from not being mentioned at all to being one of the, highest recruits in the class. And so I'm truly blessed to be able to say that I'm in this position. But, it's thanks to a bunch of people, but also myself and my dedication and my hard work. These past years I've just been, just constantly on the grind, trying to get my name up there and just, make a fun of it as well.
Yeah, I think it was the USA basketball camp in October of last year. I think the next week was Border League. And I remember tracking you down at a side gym was the first time I was able to see you live. And since then, things have progressed rapidly. Now, talk to me about going and like fighting for your looks, fighting for your attention, and then all of a sudden to basically have your choice of high major offers. I mean, how was that overwhelming at all to hear the phone ringing as much as it was?
With the phone ringing as much and all the offers pouring in, I really enjoyed the process. It was a stress, I will say, for, me and my parents as well. But it was all a great process, getting down to these 4 and being able to say that, I'm wanted that bad by so many high major programs. It really says a lot about me as a character and a basketball player as well. These past years, I've had to, like you said, fight for that, spot and being able to have my name up there. And so now that it's actually here, it's a dedication to my hard work.
And of course, that all culminated in a championship this summer, right? You and that BTI team, you got that chip this July, is that right?
Yes, we did. I actually have Coach Icar and Jeremy here with me today. So big shout out to them. But, that BTI team was amazing, man.
All right, now we have delayed as long as that crowd will allow me to. The people who are not there live don't know, but before we went live, you guys, there was like a poll going on. Where do you think he's going to go? So this is a suspenseful moment for everybody there to support you. Before you get to your announcement, though, I want to give you an opportunity to thank anybody who has helped you get to this point in the process.
Yes, there's actually quite a bit of people to thank. First and foremost, God, He's the forefront of all this. Without being here, I wouldn't be in this position. And being able to trust in Him and have that dedication to His path for me, as well as my family, my dad, my mom, my brother, and my 3 little sisters. They've just been with me, coming on visits, and just sticking with me throughout the process. And I couldn't have done it without their support as well as my Vista team, my high school team, as well as my AAU team, all those guys, Coach Bedowitz, Coach Cooper, and all those guys, all my teammates that have been there since freshman year and the new teammates as well. I've, truly enjoyed my time with them and being able to continue and hopefully, win another championship this year. As well as my AAU team being able to go out with a AAU, championship on the Puma circuit, as well as with a coach like Icart and Coach White and Coach Cantwell and Jeremy and all those people who have helped me develop and, be able to be where I am today. As well as Impact, Joe, Jamal, JJ, and all the guys that have helped me develop over there as well and just welcome me into their space and being able to, for me to use that space to, really show my improvement, my development, my creativity, and just constantly get better and have fun while doing it, as well as my agency, CAA, Dave and Cody. They have been, constantly working for me and, just with me throughout this whole process, which is just such a great support and such a great thing to have that I'm so grateful to have as well. And, everybody from Southwest and Vista who have supported this process, my counselors, staff, teachers, as well as everybody that's here in the crowd today. I just truly thank you guys and appreciate you guys for all being here and, helping me make the decision as well.
All right. Well, you know what that means. The time is now. You can only pick
Time is
one
now.
of those 4 finalists. The stage is yours.
What if I just walked out right now? What if I just brought y'all in here for nothing? All right. So I'm going to yell here a little bit. Y'all just bear with me.
Yeah.
But after careful consideration, all these schools that have shown interest in me, but like you said, there can only be one. And I would like to say that I'll be taking my talents to BYU. BYU.
Let's go.
All right. A huge BYU is Xavion Staton.
Oh, wait, I got to
The
roll.
top 3 center in the national class is off the board.
Man.
All right, Xavion, congratulations. Obviously, a huge moment for you and for BYU. What was it about the Cougars that made you decide they were the place for you?
Oh, man, BYU, it was, everybody had talked about them, being the last visit and, they're going to really have to do something to step up. But when we stepped on campus, we truly just, were blown away, with the place that it was, the relationship that we built with the coaches and everything, and just, the place, the atmosphere. It really was, the right fit as the moment we stepped on campus. Being able to get along with the teammates and everything, those are really guys that I can see myself playing aside and getting along with outside of the court as well. And, it's also a place that's really close to home. So that was something that played into a factor as well. And, being able to play under a coach like Kevin Young, he is, one of the best. And so being able to have him, at the forefront of my development and everything is truly a blessing.
Now, I got to ask you about this because I know it's in, correct my pronunciation if I'm wrong here, but it's in Provo, Utah, correct?
Yes.
And I heard they are selling the Provo part of it. The 4 tenets of the player development, I was told was a big part of what they were pitching you on. Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, their connections and their way of developing the guys, it was actually an interesting story because we were, at a little dinner at Coach Young's house, and basically one of the players came behind me and he's using an NBA terminology while I'm playing 1v1 with my brother. And he's like, hit. And it's basically like swarming the ball on a big and stuff like that in the paint. But just hearing that they actually are using that language and stuff as a pro that early, it really kind of blew me away and was like, okay, this is really a thing that you guys got going on out there. I feel like it's the best pathway for me and into my success and wanting to be in the league and, things coming after that as well.
All right. Well, before we get to that point, why don't you tell Cougar fans what they are going to be getting when you arrive in Provo?
Well, we'll be getting, a defensive player for sure. A guy who hustles, loves to block shots, just has that mentality that just, no easy buckets, no things like that. But as well as, an offensive threat, lob threat, somebody who puts pressure on the rim every single time and doesn't allow things, be easy, in a game for the full 36 minutes. That was 32. Jeez,
No doubt,
what do we got going on?
Doubt about it. Whether it's 32, 36, or 40, there is a lid on that rim, one of the very best shot blockers in the entire country. Xavion, I'm going to share with you one story before I let you go. This was a USA basketball setting last year. And the thing that really stood out to me, in addition to which I agree with, there was a player on your team who was struggling to make shots that day. This is a guy who normally shoots it really, really well. He went over to a side basket to get extra reps in. And the thing I noticed was the player who walked over to rebound for him, not getting any shots of his own, was you. And I think that speaks a lot about your character and what you have in front of you. I know everybody at BYU is excited to have you. Obviously, you have a very bright future, and we just want to thank you for sharing this moment here with us on 24/7 Sports and congratulate you on your decision.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you guys for sure, and I'm excited to get to work in Provo.
All right, there it is. Xavion Staton off the board to BYU. Obviously, huge news for Kevin Young and that staff. For more on this, we're going to bring in Eric Bossi to help me break down exactly what makes Xavion Staton one of the best big men in the national class. Ebos, you heard him talk about how he takes pride on the defensive end, but this guy really is one of the best shot blockers in all of high school basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. It's hard to explain it what he does. He's so quick off the floor. He has incredible timing, and he's not just a great shot blocker because he's got incredible physical gifts. We're talking about a really bright kid. I mean, anyone who just watched this broadcast can tell how intelligent he is. He's elite, high character. But the thing that really blew me away the first time I went to go watch him was a lot of these young shot blockers. They just wait for guys to come to them, or they go late after pump fakes. This guy is out here calling out to his teammates everywhere everyone is going. He sees things coming before they get there. So it's not just a thing of being physically gifted. This guy is really, really smart basketball player. He sees the game a couple of plays ahead. And to me, he's really got a chance to be a savant on the defensive end. And then when you add in how he runs the floor, how big of a threat he is as a lob catcher, I think he's a guy who's got such great, building blocks with his game and so much room to improve.
Yeah, I concur with that wholeheartedly. I mean, that's the thing to me is the amount of upside he still has left to discover for a guy who's already one of the premier rim protectors in the class. Let's talk about him on the offensive end, because obviously the defense is what people talk about the most. But offensively, you heard him talk about kind of the lob threat, the vertical spacing. I saw him make a couple threes this last month when we were out there for Border League and in the Wooten camp. I don't think that's a staple of his game anytime soon, but it speaks to the fact that he's just going to keep getting better and better and showing you kind of flashes of new things he can add basically every time we see him play. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the thing that we're going to really see become a weapon for him over the next year is going to be the jump hook. He's really starting to show some progression and some just confidence in that. I think we're going to see him learn to not just – he's pretty dominant, going to go score over his left shoulder right now, or he's going to drop, step, and dunk if he's not getting a lob. But I think we're going to see him learn to go over his right shoulder and use his offhand a little bit with some things. And an area that I think that's also been underrated is he's a very good passer out of the low post. When the double comes, because of that high basketball IQ he has and his command of where people are supposed to be on the floor, he really makes smart decisions and knows which of his shooters or drivers are going to be in the right place to do something with the ball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's got a wealth of upside still left to discover. Also important to note, he was relatively late to the game. You're talking about a guy who's got tremendous size, tremendous length, super mobile, super agile, and very athletic with multiple bounces. And as you said, just a true knack for blocking shots, one of the very best in high school basketball. Obviously, a big, big day for Kevin Young and BYU. For lots more on this, you can visit 247sports.com. We've got further quotes from Xavion as well as my own analysis. And make sure you keep it locked right here to the 247 Sports channel for the college basketball show on Wednesday, as well as some other commitments coming up very soon. 247sports.com and the 247 Sports channel.